Good evening, everybody. It's the Overlook Drive-In right here on Phantom Empire. It's December the 27th, 2022 is almost in the books, which is a scary thought. Years just keep flying by, and we all keep getting older. Urgh. That's life. That's how she goes. Joining me on this episode, he is the host of the one and the only Take One podcast. It's Mr. Mike Bish. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Good to be here. Good to dive into this conversation tonight. Good to get through the holidays, man. I love the holidays. It's my favorite time of year. But work wise, it kind of takes away from it. It's just a stressful time when it comes to work. But yeah, man, ready to kick back and talk some movies. Talk some Terrifier 2.
The Cowboys. The Cowboys, dude. I'm not even a big football fan, and I'm just like, oh, yeesh.
I mean, I'm not gonna. The only thing I'll say is it took them we had 4 turnovers, and they only beat us by 6 points with our backup quarterback. So that's all I gotta say. But if Dallas wants to take the win, I mean, it's a win. It's a win. People get hurt. I would say I walked away from that game a lot more happy than I thought I would. I thought not having our quarterback it'd be a blowout, if I'm being quite honest with you. But yeah, backup stepped up, and again, if our backup Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the ball over really at all, so that's what you get with the backup. 4 turnovers, not good. So
let me tell you, if they can lose a game to the Cowboys, I absolutely believe they can lose a game to the Tom Brady-led Buccaneers in a playoff game. Well, the Bucs have a long way to go to even have a chance to play that game. So,
hey, man, 2 weeks. 2 weeks is long.
Just had a cat crawl out from behind my monitor. I'm still not used to this new setup. Fucking cat.
Nice.
Anyway, dude, holidays are almost in the books. We got New Year's to come, New Year's Eve and New Year's. But other than that, we're almost through another holiday season. How's it been for you?
Good, man. It honestly went by pretty fast, which is I feel like the older I get, the more that happens, at least for me. I'm somebody who enjoys the holidays, though, so I enjoy taking in all the festivities, watching all the movies, going around looking at Christmas lights, listening to Christmas music. Like, I enjoy all that stuff. So usually when it comes to the stuff you enjoy, it goes by fast, and I can't believe that we're already just a few days away from 2023. It's been a crazy year, overall good year, man, but excited for everything coming in 2023, man. It's gonna be a good year.
Me too. I mean, I used to get excited about things that are in the through the windshield, if you will, things that are on coming up, stuff like the Daytona 500, the new NASCAR season. There's some games coming out, some great movies coming out this year.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's nice to just sort of take a step back and just take in what's happening around you right in the moment, and live the moment, because the moments pass by so incredibly fucking quickly. It's very jarring. So also, I just want to take a moment and say the channel's been very it's not been consistent the last month, and that's mainly on me. We went through a move that has gone anything but smooth. It's been about as big of a nightmare as you could possibly imagine. And then Mike and I just work a lot, so it's hard to line up our schedules. It's also the holiday season. It was just a perfect storm of things, but things will get back to a more routine schedule when we cross over into the new year. Streams will be up days beforehand. You'll be able to see the room days beforehand rather than instead of an hour beforehand. And like we announced last week, we kick off 2023 with The Batman and Seven. And this really excites me because a lot of people compare these two movies. But it excites me even more knowing that Mike has yet to see Seven. And it's definitely one of my favorite horror genre films of all time. Really, I love it. And I mean, hey, it's Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. You know, you're getting something good.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to one go back and watch the Batman. I'm still compiling my list together for best movies of the year, but yeah, it's definitely in my top three. No doubt about it. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to going back and rewatching that movie. I love it. I really enjoy it, and I hear a lot of good things about Seven. So I can't wait to dive into that for the first time. I love being able to watch movies for the first time. I'll be honest with you, man. I was never a person that had seen Black Christmas before. And I kind of enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I would. I watched it for the first time about a week ago. Actually, no, damn, it's only like about 4 days ago. So for the first time, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it was pretty good, man. Obviously, an older movie, but yeah, man, I love being able to watch movies for the first time and getting that experience. And I hear nothing but great things about Seven, so can't wait to dive into that.
No, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been dying to watch The Batman again. I actually haven't seen it since last March. I watched it 2 times when it first came out. Loved both of my viewings. One was far better than the other because one I watched in IMAX on, just perfect screen, perfect sound, and the other one was just your basic, normal movie theater. And there's
Yeah.
definitely a difference in that experience. So I'll have to get used to watching it at home, but I'm pretty excited to dive into it. I'm one of those guys that even though if I love a movie, I can wait like a year, even 2 years to watch it again. So that when I do watch it again, it's like, hey, this is awesome. This was worth the wait. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But tonight we have Terrifier 2, which Mike has had us watch Terrifier 1 and 2 last week. We had Terrifier 1, and just to recap last week, Terrifier came in at 38% for me and 71% for Mike, giving us a grand total of 54.5%. We come into Terrifier 2. I just want to let everybody know off the top. I did what I could with the graphics on short timing. Mike and I had we weren't sure what we were going to be able to do tonight, which is probably a good time to remind people that right after this episode is over, if you're a member of the Fandom Empire Patreon at the $10 tier or above, which is the gold room or above, you'll be able to check us out over on Patreon, whether you watch live or after the fact. We will be doing Halloween from 1978, and we'll be joined by Tommy B for that. We're going to dive into that. It'll be just Halloween 1978 talk. We'll probably spend 45 minutes on it, so be on the lookout for that. And then we'll have one more Patreon exclusive, not Overlook related, but channel related before the end of this year. So, and it is Halloween related, so be on the lookout for that very soon. Without further ado, though, let's dive into Terrifier 2. Mike, Terrifier 2, before we dive into any of the details behind the film, has kind of taken people by surprise due to its very modest budget, extremely low budget. I mean, compared to the first film, it's much higher, but it's still very, very low costing film, under $1 million, significantly under $1 million. I believe it was in the 300,000 range, was it not?
Yes, 300,000 was what I heard.
And it has taken people by surprise and sort of had this word of mouth spread and led to a fairly successful small time theatrical run. What was your take on watching that unfold?
Pretty crazy. Again, I heard people, I heard people talking about Terrifier 2 and that was coming out. And as I mentioned last week, that I was just never into Terrifier. Like there was nothing about it that really intrigued me. Nothing that I wanted to watch about it. But a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I have a good feeling that Terrifier 2 is going to be a pretty good movie. Maybe you should check out Terrifier." And I was like, you know what? It's free. It was free on Amazon or somewhere, I think. So I was like, all right, let me go ahead and watch this. And we went through that last week. My overall thoughts on that. If you want to check that out as we dive deeper into that, it's definitely on the channel here. You can go back and take a look at that. But as far as Terrifier 2, man, there were some things that I was looking forward to coming into this movie. One, a storyline. Two, better acting. Outside of obviously David Howard Thornton, of course. And three, just see what they do with a little bit bigger budget. You mentioned that the budget was still not probably where it should be or needed to be. It's still considered a lower end film compared to a lot of movies. I think the biggest thing that shocked me, Shawn, was one seeing, well, not for me, because I know we kind of talked about it a little bit and you gave me a heads up. We have different opinions on this movie. But I was just shocked to see how this was, at the top of people's top horror films of the year. But I think the biggest shock out of it all was one, this movie was only released in limited amount of theaters. And I think it made over $10 million. The crazy thing about that too, really diving into it, it was only supposed to be released into theaters for one weekend. Leading up into the Halloween time, and the demand was there. They made a lot more than they could, so they were able to extend it and keep it in theaters for about 3.5 weeks, I believe. Maybe a little longer, but not much longer than that. Definitely under a month. The biggest shock for me is just seeing how much money they made in limited amount of theaters. So that was probably the biggest shock factor for me. Kudos to everybody involved, man. When you can any type of movie, when you can make earning like that off of the budget that you put into it. Let's be honest, they didn't spend a lot on advertising either. So I'm sure they made really, really good money off of this.
Yeah, the film was made for about $250,000, made over $12 million. Marketing was like next to nothing. They made quite a bit of money off of this. When you're talking about the money, the amounts of money they were dealing with to make the film, very, very successful. This is just not a film for me, man. This film is directed, written, and produced once again by Damien Leone, who is the creator behind Art the Clown. It stars David Howard Thornton back as Art the Clown, Lauren Lavera, Elliot Fulham, is that how, Sarah Voigt, Kaylee Hyman, and Casey Hartnett. I'll say this, man. I'm just going to sort of dive into the movie here and do things maybe a little differently on this one.
Yeah.
The acting is better in this movie. Like it's noticeable right out of the gate that the acting is better, the production quality is higher. Those are things that you literally notice within the first 10 minutes of the movie. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be winning any awards or anything like that.
Yeah.
In comparison to the first movie, you see where the improvements are. And, having more money helps with a lot of those improvements, big time. You're talking the difference between 35,000 and 250,000. So, it's damn near 10 times the budget. So that definitely, goes a long way to helping it out. But I don't know, man. I could not believe this was a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. This movie drags massively, in my opinion. This was the hardest movie to score that we've done yet. And the reason for that is if I hadn't seen the first movie and we just jumped into Terrifier 2, I don't think my scores would be as high as what they are. I think they'd be brutally low. But because we scored the first movie, and we're doing this based on, hey, what did Terrifier score and what did James Cameron's Titanic score or whatever. It put me in like a hard place, and it's like, okay, well, I have to compare it to us doing The Shining, but also have to compare it to us doing the first movie. And it took me a few days just to be able to score it. So it was like, and I was trying to
Oh
be as
wow.
fair as I possibly could to the movie. Did I like the movie? No, I'll be honest, Mike. I fucking hate this movie. Like, if I never watch another Terrifier movie again, I'm completely fine with it. That's just, it's not my thing. To the people that love the gore fest, I'm sure it's great, but you asked me to message you. I didn't, but you asked me to message to you when I seen that scene in Terrifier 2, and all I could think about while that fucking poor girl is getting, for the lack of a better, like, I don't even want to say the wrong thing here because I would hate to get canceled. Um,
Oh God.
but like, it's just like, didn't you get to a point where you're just like, okay, this is enough already? Like, this is a bit much. For me, I got that way multiple times in this film, man. Not like, oh my god, I can't handle it. This is gonna make me sick. It was just kind of like,
Oh.
this goes against everything I love in horror. Why I love The Shining. Why I love Halloween. But for people that love that shit and love seeing the visuals masqueraded out there, and just want it as gory as can be, I'm sure they're celebrating from the rooftops. But for me, it was just kind of like, this is too much. This doesn't feel like we're making a movie anymore. This feels like we're just seeing how far we can go with kills, and it kind of took me out of the movie, if I'm being honest.
I think I don't know, that scene is pretty brutal, but for me personally, it didn't make me sick to my stomach like that first one did. For whatever reason, it
Saw.
just yeah. It was just I don't know that one right there is just I don't know. Like I have a hard time watching that scene, and I'll be honest with you. There's not many movies out there that I have a hard time watching or scenes that like The Exorcist is obviously it's way better. I'm just that's a movie that comes to my mind that is I'm not gonna lie, it's just kind of hard for me to watch. I think it's brutally scary in my opinion for me personally. So I don't know, man. I mean, I kind of knew you weren't gonna like it. I think I said that last week, and you were like, "Oh, come on, man." I just knew. I know you, man. You're my guy. So I knew this probably wasn't gonna be your cup of tea. But again, I am honestly blown away of actually how many people really do enjoy this film. It's actually kind of crazy. Just because I love it, I didn't expect as many people to love this movie as they did.
Hey, no, I totally get it. Hey, some things are just not for people, and this one's not one for me. And I think that also complicated with the scoring, because it's like, even though I might not like what I'm seeing, it's like I still got to be able to score it and score it fairly. I can't just be like, oh, I hate it, so I'm giving it a 0 or a 1. You want to be fair, and
I think we kind of talked about that when it came to Halloween Ends. Like, um, my overall view of the movie is not good, but when I
right.
start to break it down, being fair, if I have to be fair, I can't really bring that. You know what I mean? So I get that. I get that.
No, totally. I'm right there with you. Um, yeah, I don't know. Again, it's not really for me, and I think the reason I found the the scene in this one that really extends to where her mother comes in. Um, I thought it just like lasted way too long. I think that's what got me, is just like, okay, like enough, we're good.
So
Um,
did you think the kid's parents, their mom was gonna die? Did you think that was gonna happen?
I didn't notice right away when he comes to the door, who it was. I just kind of assumed it was her, and I had to
Yeah,
like look closely to notice who it was. So I
like
liked
how
the idea. Sorry, go ahead.
I just no, I was just gonna say like I just like art. Like he's just super petty. Like how he kills her and puts her at the dinner table and shoves mashed potatoes in her mouth. Like I don't know, man. Art is just he's a gem to me. I don't know. It's been a while since we've gotten. I don't want to say a horror icon, but it's been a while since we've gotten. I don't know. I don't know what you would call him. Somebody like this, if that makes sense.
I think the one thing that like makes Michael Myers work so well though with Halloween is like at least in most of the movies, and maybe one of them far too easy, is like you can hurt him. You know that you at least have a chance. Art feels like you could run him over with a tank and then strap him to railroad tracks and have him be run over by a train, smushed into little pieces, put into a blender, and spit back out again. I'm not saying there's not other horror movie characters like that. There is, but it would be nice to. It's missing an element. I don't know how to put it, but it's missing. For me, it's missing something. But it doesn't matter what I think. What matters is they made a movie for $250,000. It's made north of $1 million on an extremely limited release. You can bet your ass there's going to be another one of these.
Yeah, but I'm kind of with Damien. I don't know if I would push it past the third film, How much more can you get out of the story?
Well, I mean,
and you don't want it to affect the budget in the end if you get to 5, 6, you know what I mean? I don't know.
In my opinion, you could spit out 100 of these things if you're not going to tell a deeper story than what they're doing.
But can you make the money that they made if you get to movies 8 or 9?
I think you'd have to like pull a bunch of people aside and like really ask them, hey, why did you go see this movie and why do you like it? And if most people say it's Art the Clown, they're probably going to pay to go see Art the Clown in almost anything if he's doing wild, crazy, over the top, perverted, murderous shit.
Because I was going to ask you, that was my next question to you, because I wanted to ask from somebody who didn't enjoy the films, what do you think it is that has attracted so many people to like this movie? And then, and I don't know, it says it's not your cup of tea, so it could be somebody else's cup of tea, but like, what do you think it is for them to make as much money as they did off of this movie?
I think it's basically what I just said, art. Like it's people want to see Art the Clown. But to me, it's not because of some big compelling story or plot twist or, his exact origins or, are we going to uncover this secret or that secret? To me, the only thing that stands out, and I could be wrong on this, is, hey, what crazy shit can he do next? And to me, if that's what you're based it off of, you could make a bunch of them. But at the end of the day, if the creator only wants to make 3, maybe he'll only make 3. But my guess is, someone's going to see the earning potential of this thing. And I'm guessing the third movie will be released on a bigger scale than this one is. And if it does I'm not talking like $100 million crazy, but like they go,
no way.
They go making a film for $1 million and it turns around and makes, $30 or $40 million in theaters. That's probably going to make them think, especially if they find a way to keep all the rights private and not have some big studio come in and meddle with everything.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you too. I think this sounds sickening, but I remember after Terrifier 2 came out, I don't know how much you spend on Facebook or if you've ever seen this come across your timeline, but after it came out, it was saying that people were having to leave the theater because they were getting sick after seeing this movie. So as sickening as this sounds, that also attracts people too when you see stuff like that. So, whoever wrote that article, I'm sure that helped in some type of way. Because I guess people who aren't, like too big into Terrifier, they're like, wow, this movie is making people sick. It's making people throw up. Maybe this is something I should go see. Like maybe it really is that scary or this, you know what I mean? This terrifying. So if it's making people do that, maybe I should go and see it. So, that's promotion in itself that they didn't have to do, that somebody just wrote an article and literally that was, it was talked about on the fucking news about this movie making people, you know what I mean? So stuff like that they didn't have to put money into, they got their own promotion off of, this movie making people leave the theater and getting sick. So
David Irwin says apologies, just joined. Hope you all had a great Christmas. Thanks, Dave, man.
Thank you, dude.
it's been really good for the most part. There was a couple of not so great parts, but other than that, it's been a lot of fun. It's been nice to have. It's hard to call it downtime because it feels like you're always on the go during Christmas. But it's been fun to spend some time with some family, and I'm going to take a moment just to say congratulations to my brother and sister-in-law who welcomed their baby girl into the world around 11 p.m. Christmas night. So
Yeah. I meant to respond to your message and be like, "Wow, Christmas baby!" Right there on the edge too.
I might have been the dick that mentioned a couple months ago to them, "Hey, watch this be a Christmas baby," and like she wasn't due till like the first week of January, and now I'm probably never going to let that down. So, yeah. All right, let's dive into this, man. First up, it is story and pacing. Well, there is more of a story with Terrifier 2. At the end of the day, it still feels like this movie that is designed just so this guy in this clown costume can go do crazy shit, and there's not a whole lot there with the story. And yet they find a way to make the runtime for this movie the same runtime as your average blockbuster film, your average Marvel film, your average DC film. It's at approximately 2 hours and 20 minutes roughly. It's, for me anyways, far too long. It drags. Mike, I got to be honest, I could not wait for this movie to be over, because I was worried that there'd be another scene that tops the bedroom scene. I'm just like, oh my god, come on! And then, sure enough, obviously he would survive at the end. And I got to tell you, man, I again, this was the hardest movie for me to score. I gave the story and the pacing a 4. If we wouldn't have watched the first movie first, I probably would have gave it like a 2. But I had
Oh
to be,
man,
and like I gave it a 4. Yeah, this really missed, man. I'm not trying to insult the film that you love, because if you love,
no,
that's
no,
all that
you're
matters.
good.
And like, to anyone listening out there live or after the fact, you're gonna love a movie or a TV series that your brother or your best friend or someone you're close with doesn't like. Who gives a shit? If you like it, that's what matters. I say the same thing to everybody that fights about Halloween Ends too. It's like, just because I don't like the movie doesn't mean that you shouldn't like the movie. Like what you like, love what you love, hate what you like, or not hate what you love. That's terrible.
Yeah, don't do that. I 1000% disagree with my man Shawn here. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I had to be honest with you. I said this last week, probably at least 100 times. There was just no storyline in the first one at all. And I know Shawn had brought this up. He kind of weighed, the first one too, based off the scores, and that's kind of how I did it too. And to me, there's nothing like super, super deep, especially that we know of yet. I feel like with this storyline, but you do get an upgrade with the storyline. I do enjoy the characters in this movie. Characters, and then of course Art the Clown is still Art. So I didn't have any problem with the pacing. I think if they cut about 15 minutes off, for me personally, that would have been okay. But I didn't feel like it dragged or anything like that. I've seen it a few times now. So for me, for story and pacing, I double Shawn's score and I gave it an 8.
That's extremely generous. All right, next up, it's the acting. If I can find the button. David Irwin says, I'm not turned off by gore, but I thought I would have enjoyed this movie more with less gore. The final girl was amazing. I did dig the final girl.
I figured you would, because you're a Mike Flanagan fan, and he digs her too. So I know you like Mike Flanagan's taste, except for Midnight Club. But I'm on the same boat with you on that one. I thought the acting, for me, there was just two standouts. I thought the kid was fine too. But two for me that stand out is obviously Art the Clown. He's still phenomenal in this movie. Um, the interesting part about this is I asked David when he was on the podcast, I asked him, how hard was it? Like, what's harder for him? Because he's done Broadway before. Is it harder to have like lines, speaking lines to talk, or just do what Art does? And he says 110% it's easier to do what Art does than to have speaking lines. Me, I thought it would be totally opposite, but he says for him personally, it's just natural, and Damien gives him the leeway to kind of do what he wants. So there's not too much pressure, and he just kind of lets it flow. Compared to having certain lines and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because I thought it would be the other way around. But yeah, I thought David Howard Thornton again shined in this movie. Art the Clown was phenomenal. Brutal once again. And then I agree with David. I love Lauren Lavera as the final girl in this movie. She thought was really, really good. I love her personality. Like, I follow her on Twitter. She loves to fight back on someone, and I'm going to take a time out because I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Have I missed something during the month of December? What I've been like basically, away for most of it? Didn't Mike Flanagan's wife tear you a new one online, Shawn? If she did, that's awesome. And number two, I have no idea about this. What would this? I mean, I would assume it would be Twitter, right? Like, I don't see how it could be anything else.
I don't know what this is. Did you tweet something about Midnight Club?
I don't remember.
Like saying it was dog shit or something? I don't see why she would come at you. And even if you did that, why would? I don't know.
I don't know. David, fill me in, man. I'm not up to date with this, but I'm very curious. It'd be fun. Oh well, I didn't even see Hush, man, up until whenever Mike and I started this, which had to be maybe a few months ago. I think this didn't start till after. I want to say it started September. So no, I don't know if you're thinking of something else, but yeah, no, I'd never seen Hush until then. So. But if she did tear me a new one, that would be rather interesting.
Yeah, real quick, just to finish up on acting. I thought Lauren Lavera was great as the final girl. She probably should have died at least 9 times. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I thought she was really, really good. I think that she has a really good career ahead of her. Maybe with Mike Flanagan, you never know. But super excited for what she has in store. But yeah, I would say easily the two that shined for me was Art the Clown and or David Howard Thornton and Lauren Lavera. So I gave it a 8.5.
I would agree with everything you just said there. And I gave it a 5. I gave the acting a 5 out of 10, which was a step up on last week's score. So
I can't remember what I gave last week. I think I gave it pretty high.
Right here. You gave it 7, and I gave it a 3. So coming up 2 points.
I just wanted to make sure I went up at least. I couldn't
remember. Acting's an 8 for Steve. He also said story and pacing is a 7. More for the story. It is a little on the long side. I would have capped it at 90 minutes or so. I agree. This is a better 90-minute film.
I'll be honest with you. Outside of movies like the Batman and stuff like that, I enjoy 90-minute movies. Like, I just think they're most of the time really well paced. Like for me, I know you're not the biggest fan of it, but I think we talked about it on here, and we agree. I think we agreed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shawn. That we agreed that H2O was paced really good, at least.
Yeah.
Like it's just such an easy watch for me. I feel like Scream is a real easy. Like, it's just movies like that are around that 80 to 100-minute mark. Just so usually are very well paced. I enjoy those a lot.
Alrighty, let's move on to the cinematography. The cinematography, man, I don't like the last film. I don't have anything to sit here and go, this is great, this is bad. It's an improvement on the first film. But at the same time, it's nothing that I didn't leave the movie going, wow, they did some incredible work with the shots and the cinematography in this film. I thought it was average. I gave it a 5 out of 10.
I was pretty high on this movie, but as you know, I'm pretty high in general. I thought it was pretty good. A lot more for the gore. Are you looking at me?
Yeah. All I heard you say is you're pretty high in general.
Oh,
yeah, I took that the complete opposite way.
Unfortunately not. I gave it an 8. And I'm not high. I promise. I am not.
Anything at all stand out to you?
I liked a lot of the shots in this movie. I don't know if that's more of the. I guess that falls in line with the directing and the cinematography. I liked, and I know we talked about this last time, and we'll jump into it here in a second. So I don't want to go too deep in directing, but just a lot of the shots, especially the action shots towards the end, I thought were done really, really well. So I would say towards the end of the movie, they really stuck out more than anything. Even though that fight scene felt like it was super, super long. I would say that those are the ones that really stuck out to me as far as cinematography.
Sorry, my dog's going off. I'm not entirely
Oh, you good?
Not entirely sure why. So all right, let's move on. So writing and directing. I'm going to sound like a broken record at this point. I think this is why we did the long deep dive into it for about 15, 20 minutes at the beginning here.
I like that, though. I like that we did that, by the way.
Yeah, I kind of liked it, too. It gave more of a natural discussion feel, and then we got into this. We are rushing through a bit just because we have another show to get to. But the writing and the directing for me, I give it a 5. It's an improvement on last week, but it's nothing that I can sit here and go, yeah, this was, life-changing, or they did some really incredible stuff in this film. I just don't feel that way about it. So I gave it a 5, but in retrospect, I just looked at, I gave the first movie a 5. So I can't change my score, but if I could,
can't change it,
I'd boost it up to like a 6.
Yeah, I gave it an 8.5, just being straight out of the jump on it. I thought the directing in this movie, although I thought he did, we talked about it, did pretty good as far as the directing piece last time. I just felt like it was even more of a step up in the second one. I thought that Damien did a lot better in this one. And obviously with the writing, I thought the dialogue wasn't corny, in my opinion, like it was in the first one. Like, I don't know, just I know you said this one has holes for you, and I definitely understand that, but that first one had a lot of holes, and the writing was a big factor for me in the dialogue. I'm big on dialogue, so but for me, for this one, I gave it an 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's a step up on the first film. I definitely wouldn't say otherwise. I just can't score it as something that's amazing. It's just not what I see.
I know. Yeah.
First, so let's move on to sound and score, though. Sound and score. Again, I don't have too much to say about the score or even the music choices that they use in these films. However, if people like your screaming and the terror, and I know a lot of people when they watch horror, especially those that were around in the 80s, the final girl phase, the slasher phase, probably get a kick out of just how violently the audio can get in this. The performance given by the actors at times can be definitely over the top, but the stuff that we're seeing on screen is over the top. I have nothing to complain about that. It's not necessarily jump scare necessarily as much as it is, hey, this is this is supposed to. It's almost like every single thing they do in this is meant to make you think about it and cringe about it, and it's no different with the sound. So, while I don't think it's much like the previous category, this amazing, stunning piece of work, I still think they do a very good job with what they did, and I give it a 6.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. I kind of agree with everything that you said. Man, I really wish in the second one they would have came up with their own type of score that they could be able to carry over into that theme, that iconic score that we can at least give Art his own score. So that was kind of deflating for me. But the sound design in this was pretty good. Just I think we agreed on that on the first one as well. So no complaints, but there's just nothing that like blows anything out of the water for me. So it's actually my lowest score out of all the groups, which is a 7.
Nice, nice.
Did you know? Did you notice Chris Jericho in this movie? By the way,
no, he didn't pop out a ton to me, but I also watched this movie while I was half asleep. Where did he pop in?
and then with the nurse in the nurse's office towards the end, I believe. I think it was towards the end. I can't remember. I have to go back and look at it. I'll look up the scene and send it to you though.
All right, yeah, then I have to look that up. Also, I thought I'd be like watching like this super amazing, good quality version of the film. The quality I watched of the film was not great, so it definitely hampered my viewing experience a little. So
they actually just dropped everything today. Just like Walmart came out with the 4K Steelbook, and a bunch of the 4K stuff just came out today. Stuff that they didn't, obviously releases that they weren't able to do with the first one. I think you can get the first one on DVD, but I don't think they've rendered it to 4K yet. I might be wrong though. I might be wrong.
So they're getting like a full physical media release.
Yeah, it just came out in Walmart today. Walmart has exclusive Steelbooks, and then the 4Ks and just dropped today as well. So again, I don't think that was something that they were able to get last time.
Oh, definitely not. Not even close. Best kill time. Best kill. Take it away, Mike. Best kill and why?
This is tough. This is tough. Last time I went with the most gruesome one. And I think I might have to go with the bedroom scene again in this one. It was way over the top. It was a lot. It did make me cringe for me personally, like the first one did. The first one I wasn't able to really even look at the screen. But if I had to pick, man, it had to be the bedroom scene that everybody's talking about. So I would go bedroom scene. Although the most shock factor to me was probably the kid's mom, man. When Art shot her with the gun through the car, like I didn't expect that to happen. I kind of jumped on that one just because I wasn't expecting it. So the shock factor was that one, but best kill, I'd have to go with the bedroom scene.
Yeah, that one really that killed it for me. If I'm being honest, that was too much. Yeah. Just not for me. However, and I'm sure most people will roll their eyes at this, my favorite kill is when the movie finally decided to be a little subtle and give us the kill with her mom. Where he the door with trick-or-treating. And it was like, okay, finally, something that's a little subtle that you have to look into a little bit. That's not in your face and, slapping me over the head with it 100 times. I enjoyed it. That felt like a little more of a traditional horror movie trope, but on the extreme side, obviously.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Alrighty, it's MVP time, which is probably no big surprise. Who's your MVP and why?
So I'll be honest. I really wanted to go with Lauren Lavera, man. Like She has just won me over personally. She did a really good job in this movie. But, being fair, we talked about being fair this entire time. I have to go with David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. He's just, again, ups his performance in this movie. He's absolutely phenomenal with what he does. So I'd give him the slight edge. As much as I wanted to go with Lauren, I'll give it to Art the Clown. He deserves it. David Howard Thornton did an absolute phenomenal job. And let's be honest, most people came out to see David Howard Thornton, and he delivered. So he is the movie. So going with David.
I echo those sentiments, man. He's definitely the movie. There's no doubt about that. I'm going with David Howard Thornton as well, because without him, you really don't have a movie. You don't have either of these movies. So he definitely carries it on his back, even in the second one. So it was a little loud. Definitely appreciate the performance that he put on as I struggle to work with the sound here. Mike, where can everybody find you at, man? What do you got going on?
You can follow me on Twitter at @MichaelBish_. You can follow me on Instagram at @MBish_. You can subscribe to the Take One podcast on YouTube. Just search at Michael Bish. And you should subscribe to the Take One podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get all your major podcast platforms. Released the episode last week outlining my top 10 horror movies of 2022. So make sure you head over and listen to that. Won't drop a new episode until the new year, which we're only a few days away. So a lot of stuff going on with the new year. We're doing a countdown to Scream 6 like we did for Halloween Ends. So it's going to be a good time, man. So I can't wait to go over that. And and we got some really good stuff coming here in the Overlook Drive-In. Shawn mentioned it with the Batman and 7 coming up in the new year. So big new year. Can't wait to dive into it. A lot of big things coming.
Damn right. The Batman and 7 kickoff 2023. Be on the lookout for both of those episodes, which are scheduled to air on January the 3rd and January the 10th, respectively. And if you're not doing anything right now, if you're a Patreon member at the $10 tier or higher, head on over to Patreon. We have just messaged out the link to the Halloween 1978 special, the Overlook Drive-In Gold Room. Because there hasn't been much of an opportunity to prepare graphics for now, it's going to go a lot like how Mike and I's discussion of Terrifier 2 just went, where we just sort of talk about the movie and then dive into all the specific categories at the end. But for Mike and everybody else at the channel that helps out, Tommy B will be joining us for that too. To everybody out there, stay safe, drive safe, make smart decisions. For those of you that are joining us on Patreon, thank you. We'll see you over there. And if we don't see anyone else before that, don't forget that we have Monday Night Fandoms. Next Monday night, we'll be gaming and doing some shit on there. So be on the lookout for that. We'll be bringing some sort of discussion topic to the table as well. But next up, Halloween on the Overlook Drive-In Gold Room over on Patreon. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you next time. Again, if we don't see you again before the new year, have a happy new year. Stay safe. Make good choices. We'll see you again.